Hey guys, how's it going? Brother Arcanine here with a Pokemon Showdown live team builder. Um, basically, there's this new metagame in the Pokemon Showdown called Gods and Followers, and it's really interesting. Basically, you pick one kind of Uber to be your god, and then you have 5 followers. And the followers have to share at least one type with the god that you choose. And in the battle, if your god faints, then the rest of your Pokemon are inflicted with a curse status for the rest of the game, and not the fun one that gives you +1 attack and defense and lowers your speed. The unfun one that takes a quarter of your health every turn. So making your god, keeping it alive, really really important. So I've had a lot of success with this team so far. I don't know if it's just because I'm kind of in the lower tier, but I did a quick research, like 10 minutes of research, and was just like, all right, what gods can I use? And I've never used this Pokemon in my entire life, but in this format, it is like the one true god. It is a brilliant Pokemon. So let's just get right into this team builder. It is the only reason I'm regretting picking this Pokemon is because I have no idea how to pronounce this name. Yveltal is like the closest I can get. Yveltal, I don't know, something like that. I'm sure everyone is just like shaking their heads, like how do you not know how to pronounce this name? But phonetically, I'm just having difficulty. Maybe you drop the Y. It's just Valtal. Yveltal. Yeah, that sounds right. Yveltal. Good, good. I just have to say it like 15 times and I know what I'm doing. Made it shiny, because like, it's amazing. Looks cool without being shiny, but shiny is just like off the charts cool. Anyway, I don't know how people normally run this Pokemon, but I think my set's pretty interesting. Obviously, ability Dark Aura. It's the only ability it gets. I gave it Life Orb, because I wanted my god to just be a destructive force. So I gave it its 2 stab moves. Oblivion Wing, which gives back 75% of the health that you do damage. It's like a Giga Drain, but better. Then Dark Pulse is its best Dark type special stab. It's obviously a special Pokemon. Then Roost, because you gotta keep your god alive. So I feel like recovery is really important. And since it's a god, it can just scare Pokemon out like really easily. And the switch, and if I can predict that, I can get some good substitutes up, and I think I get at least one good substitute use in the battles that I'll show. So as for its spread, kind of accidentally can't see part of it, but you can see it up in the, I'm trying to point like you're beside me, but obviously you're not, so you can't see what I'm pointing at. I gave it max speed, so it tops out at 326 speed, and then max attack, and just 4 in health, because health's really important. Now, I gave it max speed because, if you want to predict like an electric move coming your way, or a rock move, or an ice move, whatever it is, that the flying aspect of Yveltal is weak to, then you got to be able to add speed to make Roost really useful. So that was the main reason, and also since Oblivion Wing gives back health, that was another reason I chose to make it timid instead of modest. So yeah, that's pretty much Yveltal right there. Now I can stop saying this name, potentially butchering it. Here we have Umbreon, and I'm going back and forth. I'm not really sure. Like, I'm gonna recommend you play around with this set a bit, because I'm not sure that it's the most viable. But anyway, it's my wall, one of my 2 walls. So it's got Leftovers and Synchronize. As you know, Synchronize, if another Pokemon burns, poisons, or paralyzes this Pokemon, it also gets that status. So that came in really handy. Sometimes it screwed me up. In one of the battles, I got paralyzed when I was trying to Toxic someone, so I was like a wasted turn, and other things like of that nature. Or not really a wasted turn, but I got Toxic when I was going for Toxic, and it's like, well, I could have set up a curse or Moonlighted. But anyway, Um, so toxic, because toxic on a wall is really beneficial. It's like the best move to have on your long stally wall that doesn't have really any attacking potential. Moonlight for recoveries works really well alongside leftovers, and Curse to just make it like a really good defensive wall. And then Sucker Punch is its only attacking move. Now, when your opponent figures that out, it does get to be a bit of an issue. Is why I say play around with this set. I don't know if you'd want to do a different dark type move. I guess like since I gave it a negative special attack because its attack is slightly better by like 5. So physically attacking is beneficial. You could run Foul Play on it, might be better. But if you're against a Pokemon with like no attack, then it's gonna not do as much as Sucker Punch would do, and then it kind of defeats the purpose of setting up curses. Payback would be good too, actually, because if you're going to be slowing it down with Curse, Payback's a good move. So, yeah, that would be my recommendation, is putting Payback on there instead of Sucker Punch. But I like the priority, because they're like, oh, this Pokemon's so slow, I can definitely attack it, and you trick them, and then you're like +2 attack. And you're not really destroying anything, but you're definitely getting a solid hit in there, and you can stall out people with this wall. So it's really, really effective there. As you can see, it's max attack, max defense, and then the rest is in special defense, and I gave it a careful nature, so its special defense is actually more than its defense, despite being only 4 EVs instead of 252. So it takes special attacks better than it takes physical attacks, which is surprising looking at the spread, but obviously you can see the numbers and you know what's happening. Okay, that's it for that Pokemon. Moving on to Talonflame. I don't hate this Talonflame, because it's my Talonflame, and it's pretty much a classic Talonflame set. But I hate the Gale Wings ability and it having priority, but this is how you run a Talonflame. Choice Band, Gale Wings, Brave Bird. That's all you need. I have the other moves on there. Flare Blitz for stab, and U-turn in case we get a bad matchup or know they're going to switch, and Acrobatics just in case we lose our item and I don't feel like taking recoil, and it'll still be a priority move because it's a flying type move. So pretty good move set, but basically you'll see in the videos all I do is just Brave Bird, and it kind of just sweeps at the end is its purpose. So I didn't put any investment into speed because basically all I was planning to do was just use the Gale Wings ability, so you don't need speed. So I gave it HP and then made it an Adamant Nature, max attack, and then just because its special defense was slightly less than its defense, I put 4 in special defense, but that 4 really doesn't matter too much anywhere. But yeah, it's just a basic Talonflame set. Next we have Bisharp. I really liked the idea of Bisharp. He hasn't really... Oh my Lanta. Okay. No wonder he hasn't been like that great this whole time. I've been doing him without any EVs, but I've been battling, and I can't believe I had no EVs on this thing. That is so sad. So let's do an actual live build right now. Obviously I want his attack maxed out. Then with the Iron Head, I kind of want his speed at max too, and I'll give him an Adamant Nature as well. So yeah, we'll see how that works. It's certainly going to work better than what I was using, which is nothing. But yeah, that's a great 383 attack, maxes it out at, and you can't see the speed, but it's 239. And then yeah, so I gave him Brick Break, which is interesting. Just for screens, I watched someone's battle where they had a Bisharp, and it was just so cool, because it was just like, what did they have? I think it was like a Klefki, and just boom, Brick Break and take out the Klefki, came out of nowhere. Just really impressive. So I was just like, oh, I have to put Bisharp on my team now, or Bisharp. I guess Bisharp, because it's supposed to be like a bishop, so Bish instead of Bi. It's probably pronunciation, seeing as this episode's clearly more of a learn how to pronounce things than a team builder. But I put Life Orb on there after I basically was like, I really want to put this Pokemon on with Brick Break. But then I was like, wait, how do I build this thing? I don't know, and I didn't research at all because I don't really like to research too much. I just like to make up my own sets. So I just put Defiant on there. Just in case people put up a sticky web and it's just like, okay, well, here we go. You're getting ruined because we have Life Orb and +2. You can definitely play around with this because I'm not sold on it. Bisharp was never a huge player in any of my matches. He's basically just on there for ice types and rock types, just to, sort of help cover some of Yveltal's weaknesses. Yveltal. I'm going to stop saying that. Anyway, just basic Iron Head knockoff Sucker Punch, and we just made the spread, so that's pretty obvious there. Next we have our other wall, Gliscor, one of my favorite Pokemon, absolutely competitive. I don't think this is the same set that I was using, because I think my other Gliscor had Protect instead of one of these moves. Maybe it didn't have Toxic, I forget, but yeah, my OU Gliscor team that I built. But anyway, just Earthquake for stab, and then flying type moves. It really doesn't have any good, I find the physical move pool for flying types to be really shitty. I was like, oh, maybe I'll put a power rib on this thing instead and do Sky Attack, and I was like, no, this is a wall. Don't be ridiculous. So put Knockoff on because Knockoff's probably one of the best moves in the game. Because items are just so important, and getting a good knockoff on certain Pokemon is really important. Then just Roost, keeping it alive, and Toxic, because like I said, on your wall you want Toxic. So that's pretty much that Pokemon right there. Oh, and Poison Heal with the Toxic Orb. Absolutely amazing. It's like twice as good as Leftovers. It's pretty broken in my opinion, but I'm going to utilize it. And then looking at my team, I'm like, okay, well, my only special attacker is my god, so I clearly need another special attacker. And here he is, my beautiful Mega Charizard. I'm pretty sure this is also a pretty common set. Your ability before you evolve, you can either have Solar Power or Blaze, but without anything setting up the sun, Solar Power is kind of pointless. So I just made it Blaze, not that it matters, because you Mega Evolve right away anyway. Air Slash, for sure, definitely the best flying type special move. I find flying type moves to be pretty underwhelming, but it's a good type, so Air Slash it is. Then just Roost, and you'll see similar to Yveltal, I gave it max speed for the reason of roosting, to, electric types and so on and so forth. And then Stab Flamethrower, and then I was like, well, what am I going to do for this last move? And I was like, oh, obviously Solar Beam for water types and other things that we might not be able to hit too good. And then, yeah, it spread max special attack, but also max speed, and made it timid as well, just like Yveltal. And 4 in HP, pretty much the exact same spread. And then, yeah, so what I want to say is, looking at my team, there is a pretty big weakness to rock types, so Bisharp and Gliscor kind of help out, and Umbreon's natural bulk can kind of stall out a lot of rock types, but stealth rocks are the biggest problem with this team, so I'd either switch somebody out for somebody that can use Rapid Spin, or I don't like Defog, but you can make your Gliscor a Defogger instead of a Toxicer, or you can get rid of Knockoff or Roost, whatever you feel like. Honestly, Roost isn't super necessary because of the Toxic Orb, so if you wanted to do a Defog, Protect, Earthquake Knockoff, that would be totally viable. So that's the only recommendation I'd make there, is making sure that you have EVs on your Bisharp, and secondly, that you're something to get rid of Stealth Rocks, because Charizard and Talonflame, they take 50%, Yveltal takes 25%, and if you have somebody who's just like Stealth Rock's Dragon Tailing, it's a shitty time for you. So, without any further ado, let's get into these 4 battles that I did.
Alright, so this first battle, we're going to lead off with our Wall Umbreon against an Arcanine. Kind of felt bad here, because it's an Arcanine, but just had to take this thing out. It's funny, because we get what we want, we Toxic the Arcanine, but it hasn't really synchronized, so it's kind of like a wasted move. It would have been nicer to get a nice little curse up there, because obviously we could have taken that Flare Blitz a bit better. But then again, that recoil damage wouldn't have been as high, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Then I'm like, alright, this thing's gonna eventually win this out, and I don't want to lose Umbreon, so I go into Gliscor, get my Toxic boost going, and I go for a knockoff, because I know it's going to expect an Earthquake, and I was kind of expecting one of his 2 flying types to come in. Anyway, here we are now. Umbreon's pretty much not going to be able to do anything but Sucker Punch this Kingdra, and it's going to take us out with an Ice Beam. Well, Ice Beam, Toxic combination. If I known I would have lived that. Well, actually, that's my only attacking move. I might have gone for a Toxic, though, but I think Sucker Punch is just good. So we take it out with Solar Beam. Don't know how I didn't see this coming. I was really expecting him to switch into one of his many Pokemon that resist the Solar Beam, but instead, now we're here. We just take it as Arcanine with that awesome flinching Air Slash. And now we have 2 different Megas, and he's showing us that we are obviously the superior Mega, because we are faster, and we didn't even need to flinch to take this thing out. But then Dragonite's going to come in, revenge kill, and now we are just left with a 4v3. Obviously not a great switch in for me. I managed to lock off the Lumberry, but really we weren't going to do any like status conditions or anything to this thing, so basically it just is less free to do Outrage. But now we're in a pretty bad spot, and I'm like, okay, Yveltal, let's just do this. He knows that he's not going to be able to take anything from me, so he just goes for Extreme Speed. And now I'm like, alright, you're going to have to beat out Heatran and a Reshiram basically on your own. But I'm like, you know what, Gliscor, your Earthquake's going to pretty much destroy all of these things. So let's just have you use Earthquake. Bad play on his part switching out there, because I don't think Heatran would have lived, but getting that unnecessary damage on Reshiram, definitely not cool, because then it ends up not even doing any damage at all to us. And now Heatran's cursed and definitely not going to be able to live. But see, Heatran did a little bit of damage there, so I'm sure Reshiram could have made it a much closer battle. But anyway, we win that first battle, decidedly. Alright, in our second battle, we again lead with Umbreon. I'm pretty sure I lead with Umbreon in almost all of these battles, but guess we'll see. Go for a Toxic here, as it goes for a Thunder Wave. Glad I'm outsped, because I wouldn't have wanted it to be paralyzed. I'd much rather it be poisoned. Unfortunately, as it tri-attacks, we get Para-Hacks, but as you can see there, it's really not doing anything to us, so we're just going to start setting up curses. I'm thinking this thing might have superpower or close combat or something, so I just go for Sucker Punch, but it just has Rock Climb, so I'm like, alright, I can deal with you all day. Gonna set up on you some more, go for another curse, and this Porygon 2 comes back in, so I'm like, alright, what does this Porygon 2 want to do? It already showed me that I couldn't really do anything, and since I'm already paralyzed, there's really nothing else it can do to me. It can't potentially get a burn, and it can't potentially get a little, what is it, freeze. So I'm just like pretty much guaranteed that I'm going to win this, and I'm like, alright, well, let's just get Umbreon all the way up to full power here. He tries to go in with his Taurus again, and at this point I'm like +4 in attack and defense, so I'm like, I don't really know what your Taurus is going to do. Maybe you're trying to confuse me, I can understand that tactic, but this is the best thing you have to damage me with. You are in some trouble. We get the Toxic as the Explode comes in. I'm like, okay, finally a Special Mon. So that Focus Blast is almost going to take me out. I'm like, well, crap. I wish that Sucker Punch had not gotten paralyzed there. And now this Ditto comes in, and I'm like, well, crap. Not only did you predict my Sucker Punch, but now we're absolutely, like, huge problems. But then it just switches out, because obviously it could see that, like, just learned my movesets, and I guess I really don't know here. Learned my movesets, but for some reason was unable to work around it still, and now it's I finally was able to take out one of his Pokemon, and this Umbreon has not switched out. It's just been in this entire time doing work to his whole team. It's been paralyzed, beat up by so many of his different Pokemon, but here we are, it's just doing just fine. So Here we go, and just won the battle on forfeit because they could literally do nothing to Umbreon. So that was just a little bit of a brag about how good Umbreon is in this little set here. All right, third match here, no surprise, leading off with Umbreon, and this Mega Pidgeot wasn't obvious at all that it was a Mega. It's going to go ahead and get Toxic, so I'm like a little bit worried because obviously with the curse set, we're better off at physical defense, but we're taking these pretty well, so I'm like, okay, I can definitely like Moonlight and be sucker punching, and yeah, there's no way this Pidgeot's ever going to beat me. So Moonlight here, and I'm like, all right, I can either Curse or Moonlight. So I decided to go with Curse, thinking I could Sucker Punch it and maybe take it out with all the Toxic that I was stacking up. So here I just go for a Sucker Punch, and this is one of those times I'm just like, well, really wish I had a different move because we're not doing anything to a Pokemon like Biosharp. But I decided to stay in, just set up the curses because that Brick Break is its best move and it's not doing anything to me. So we synchronize up here, but unfortunately, remember the Porygon 2, we were able to get the Toxic off first, but this one obviously got the Para on first, so that was a little unfortunate, but not the worst thing in the world. It's just that this Drift Bloom's kind of going to be a pain in the butt now. You'll see. I'm probably actually going to have to speed up because we kind of just go back and forth doing this whole thing for a while. So basically, I can't hit it because it's going to Destiny Bond. I'm definitely going to take it out because I'm +6. So we just keep going back. Oh, I'm going to Moonlight. Oh, I'm going to Destiny Bond. Oh, I'm going to Thunder Wave and just stall you out until eventually I'm like, you know what? Umbreon's going to beat his whole team eventually. Let's just cut our losses, go into Bisharp. And then I'm just like, all right, let's just sack Bisharp because this Drift Bloom's like the only thing that is going to be a problem for my Umbreon, clearly. So, not wanting to waste Umbreon just yet, decided to go into my Charizard, Mega up, get a Charizard all nice, and also get the Talonflame nice. I was hoping that would do a lot more, obviously, but Rock Slide's going to take us out, and it's obviously a defensive Landorus, so that's why we weren't able to do a bit more damage. So I decided to Toxic this thing up, because defensive Pokemon, obviously Toxic's like the best thing to wear them down. And then, since we don't have any, our nice +6 curses up, that U-turn did way too much damage, but I'm like, alright, we can definitely live this thing's Brick Break. So let's Moonlight, and good. No para hacks, we're able to get nice and big there with the Moonlight. So I decided to switch on Gliscor now that we're a little bit healthier. He either predicts that or just wants to start flinching us and make sure that we don't get our Moonlights going up, but it doesn't work out for him because Gliscor is going to be able to just start demolishing. This is our other defensive wall, and my defensive walls really put in a lot of work in this Gods and Followers thing. I highly recommend you guys take my sets because, I mean, not to brag, but look how great we're doing. Like, neither of our walls have gone down. The only reason that we went down is because we had to sack someone to Destiny Bond. And that defensive Landorus, I just kind of overestimated my Charizard. So, unfortunately, we're finally going to go down to that Mega Pidgeot. But Mega Pidgeot's not going to be able to take down our second wall. And I can basically just keep roosting and poison healing all day on this thing. So, we're back up to full health. This Toxic's going to take it out next turn. It's going to go for one more Hurricane on me. And it gets a Confusion, lucky for it. But I just decided to knock it off because I honestly thought I'd switch out and maybe just like be cheeky, try to save that 1% there to come and fuck shit up another time with Hurricane. But nope, no such luck for it. So we're having some pretty good exchanges here. I'm feeling pretty good about this battle still. Going for an Earthquake. I really thought that would take out the Bisharp, but unfortunately no. And then I made a joke here. I was like, oh no, my Toxic Orb. How am I going to win now? Because obviously I already had the Toxic, so the move is irrelevant anyway. And now his knockoff's not going to do as much damage. So really, we're just looking great. I don't think he has anything on his team that Gliscor can't deal with right now. So I'm like, all right, let's just keep going for knockoffs and roosts. And eventually, we're going to be able to beat down all of his Pokemon. And then when that Yveltal comes in, my own can beat it, or I have Talonflame. So I'm feeling really good about this right now. He switches out finally into Yveltal, and I was like, now it is on. Let's get rid of your item. I was really lucky to get the knockoff there because I've been playing a couple different prediction games here. Get that Toxic on, I'm like, alright, like that's going to stack up. So I just basically I was like, alright, let's sacrifice Gliscor so that we can get Talonflame in here. Choice Band, Priority Gale Wings, Brave Bird, sorry. So we take out Bisharp. I figured he'd switch and sack that off, or this Pokemon. They're both going down. Clearly he just wants me to get a little bit of recoil damage. But it really doesn't matter because there's no way this Pokemon's going to be able to take on Talonflame and my Yveltal. So goes for Oblivion Wing, nice move there. But after Toxic and another Brave Bird, we show it who the real Yveltal God team is. Only one left is our God, and that's how it should be. All your followers getting sacrificed to win the battle. So in this last battle, we see something pretty rare. I actually lead with Bisharp instead of Umbreon. And then I decide that's not a good matchup. I was predicting an Earthquake, so I went into my Flyer. But turns out it was just going to be setting up Stealth Rocks. So we do take a bit of damage there going for the knockoff, but luckily we get rid of that Rocky Helmet. Of course, it still has a rough skin, but hey, better than taking both of those. So I decided to just go for a substitute here and start Oblivion Winging. I'm pretty sure I can win against this Reshiram, so I'm not feeling like switching out at all. Really want to take out his Pokemon and start getting curses on his whole side of the field. But we just barely live, and if we had got burned there, we wouldn't have taken us out because we would have had like 1%, but that would have been bad. So for some reason he switches out. I guess he chose Garchomp to sack off. I guess he thought since his rocks are up, Garchomp's not that useful anymore. Now I'm just like not feeling in on this Victini. I didn't want to be risking my Yveltal that early in the game, so I go into my defensive wall Umbreon. Should have probably gone to Gliscor predicting those 2 hits, but it is what it is. So Heatran here, I luckily got a Moonlight up, and I'm able to live that move. So now I'm just like, okay, we can get a Sucker Punch off with some Moonlight, some Curses, start doing some damage to this Heatran. Got that Air Balloon popped, so I'm like, okay, Gliscor can definitely come in and deal with this Pokemon. And also you're not going to be doing a crazy amount of damage with any of your moves now because Eruption is going to do less damage, and clearly that's all you can do with Flash Cannon. So I'm like, alright, let's set up on this Pokemon. We can Sucker Punch, we can definitely win this exchange. We can Moonlight. There's nothing this Heatran can do to me. The longer it stays in here, the more time it's wasting. And it never really realizes that, clearly. It just keeps wasting its time staying in here, getting beat up, going for different moves. Like, oh, maybe this will work. Maybe this will work. Wrong. Umbreon is too impressive, so you are not going to be able to beat it. I can see what it's going for, trying to get the special D drops there. It's like a pretty smart play, but honestly, you just wasted your Heatran. So Reshiram comes in, which surprises me because I didn't think it would have any setup moves, but I guess he forgot about Synchronize too. So he basically just put his Reshiram on a little clock to die there. And I decide here he's probably not going to attack me, but if he does, then that's going to be amazing. So I went for the Sucker Punch. Didn't turn out for us. Everyone's using Charizard X instead of Charizard Y. I guess I'm the only one who feels like Charizard's amazing. But anyway, he's going to keep on D-dancing. I'm like, alright, you D-dance. I'll start cursing. So I decide to go for Curse as he goes for Outrage. Or sorry, I go for Moonlight. So, but I'm like, okay, well, Sucker Punch is just going to have to take you out here. And luckily we get a crit and it does take him out. But with the kind of damage you're taking for Toxic, I'm like, we're going to die of Stealth Rock, so we have to just Sucker Punch here. If he had any other move, I would have gone for it, because I guess he just didn't understand that my only attacking move was Sucker Punch. But anyway, we're looking really good here, 5-3. This Volcarona is going to get flinched, and one more Air Slash takes it out. Doesn't really get to do anything. Obviously, all that damage is from the Stealth Rocks, and now a Bolt Strike is going to completely finish this off there. I go into Talonflame just because now we have the priority Brave Bird, and with the Pokemon where they are, I'm going to take them out in 2 hits. So that was all the games I had played. Well, I played a few more, but they were just not as entertaining, and I don't think I lost with this team. So this is, I'm just really proud of this team, considering it's a format I've never played. I had a lot of fun playing it, and it's Pokemon I'd never really used. Like, obviously I can't even pronounce Yveltal, so really interesting, really new Pokemon to me, and I did really well with it. So I'd be interested to see if you guys want to use my Pokemon, tweak the set, or if you have other suggestions. I just really enjoyed playing through this. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I'm enjoying it. Have a nice one. This has been Brother Arcanine. Peace out.